I'm sure there's not a great deal I can tell you all about ironing. There's just a couple of little tips. When drying your fabric, try and leave it just a little bit damp, preferably. I like to lay down the biggest pieces of my dyed fabric down on the ironing board first and get smaller and smaller, leaving the small strips to one side. This is a technique I use where I lay the iron on top of a strip and then pull the strip of fabric to and fro underneath. That can be easier than ironing it long ways like this particular piece here. I find if I layer them all up, then by ironing a small strip, I'm automatically ironing what's underneath too, so it does speed up the ironing time. The one good thing about ironing is that you can see really closely how your fabric has turned out, because often when it's got wrinkles and creases in it, you can't see how lovely it is. Some of these fabrics are more successful than others. If there's one that's not very good and I don't find a use for it, then I'll probably over dye it at a later date. But I tend to iron them all first and then see what they look like once ironed. This one that you can see I'm ironing now was the one that had the white background on that was much too stark. It improved a great deal. Sometimes the dyes do look a bit pale when you've dyed them, and you maybe have to dunk them in again, which can be a bit frustrating. That one worked out well with the 2 shades on, and that one, that's for the landscape course. This one now was one that was scrunched up and put into a pot. This one with yellow and orange dye. One underneath that one. That brown one was a bit boring, but you never know, it might do for something. The stripy one underneath was a bit of a disaster. It looked okay in the pot, but it didn't really dye. This one's a lovely one, this blue and grey one. That was one that was scrunched up and put into a pot. That was a polyester one or synthetic one, and I wasn't sure, and it did dye well. This one, the green one, it really needs a bit more colour on, it was too pale. That green mottled one was another one that was pushed into a pot. That worked out well. I think this one with the pink flowers could really do with another dunking too. Oh, I hope you've got some wonderful success stories in amongst all your dyeing, and look forward to seeing them in one of the courses.